Maybe we should open it up to Q&A.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, I see the sign. I'm sorry. I've been taking up all my time. Sorry. As a reporter, I get greedy. All right. All right. Let's go to you. Yep.
Thank you so much. Yes. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask a question. Going back to the theme of tonight's presentation, which is the election, it's very important, in which the Congress members are representing our community, the Asian Pacific American community. I believe that your remarks have sort of focused on the election and the vital issues and why it is so important. If I may sort of kind of interpret the bottom line of what you ladies have stressed is that the issues for the 2012 election could be categorized in two things: jobs, job creation, and social issues. And I think Ms. Judy had sort of focused on social issues very eloquently. Considering that the jobs are, and the action is where Asia-Pacific region is, and even our president is there now, and we're offering what we can make for them so that they can buy what we can create. What would be your message so far as what members of Congress could do, including yourselves, could suggest for people in the Asian Pacific American community to stimulate jobs? And also, if you could also just quickly sort of focus on what of the many social issues, abortion, etc., that most affect the or impact or elicit the interest and concern of the Asian Pacific American voters.
Well, I think the issue is jobs, jobs, jobs. That's the main overriding issue for this nation right now. And I think we are at a critical juncture. We need to focus on turning around this economy. The Republicans in the House have not put a single jobs bill on the floor in all this time that they have had control of the House. And yet we have President Obama putting forth a very rigorous American Jobs Act, which would do all kinds of things, including hiring back teachers and first responders, building our infrastructure so that we can rebuild the schools, the roads, the bridges, and bring back those construction jobs, giving all kinds of tax breaks to small businesses so that they can hire. After all, 2 out of every 3 new jobs come from small business. And so there are so many things that we could do if we focused on it. And I just think that we have to take back the House so that we can pass these bills out. That means getting 25 seats in this next election. We have to maintain the Senate, and we have to re-elect President Obama. And that's a lot of work for us to do in 2012. I totally agree with Maisie in that this really has to be our focus, and Asian Americans have a big stake in what's going on in this next election. And I think that we have to really energize the Asian Pacific Islander base all across this nation. We have Asian Americans that are growing in certain areas which will be swing states. States like Nevada, states like Virginia, where our populations are growing, and we could really make the difference between victory and defeat. So what would, however, energize those Asian American populations in those particular states and all across the nation? I do think it's jobs, but I do think that small business has been the key to the American dream for so many Asian Pacific Islanders, and we need to show them that unless we provide incentives for small businesses, as is provided in the American Jobs Act, that we will not be able to get ahead, and we can't lose small businesses as the key to their American dream. I also think education is a key message for Asian Pacific Islanders, because it is the way that Asian Pacific Islanders have gotten to get to that professional class in America. And so we need to emphasize those 2 issues, small business and education.
Thank you.
I think that it's interesting that you mentioned the Asian Pacific area. because as you know, we just completed APEC and Hawaii was the host of APEC. There are various levels of that, of what your question is, and I will tell you, there is no question. The three greatest economies of the world are in the Pacific, and they're, of course, the United States, Japan, and China. They're also putting the fourth, which they assume will be India in the future. When you talk about the Asian Pacific arena and what we can do to enhance immediately, one of the issues that has always, and I speak about it a lot on the floor, is currency manipulation. And that is one of the things that President Obama made it a point when he was in Hawaii, is that the valuation of the yuan, for example, has a major impact. If you look at the statistics about what would happen if the yuan gets reevaluated, it can support like 1.6, almost 1.56 million jobs just by the currency situation. Because what it is when it's artificially low, we are buying versus the reverse. So we have to do certain things, and the Republicans have not brought that particular piece of legislation to the floor. When you talk about the Pacific region, though, the reason why the president is there is because of the fact that we have different issues. There's not only APEC, which is more of a blueprint building situation. You have the East Asia Summit, which is where he went to in Indonesia. You have what is called the TPP, which is Trans-Pacific Partnership, which Japan is looking to join. And people may not realize that Japan, who's been a major trading partner of ours, has never evaluated their tariffs. So we have all of these things to look at. Korea, for example. However, you also have to put on top of that, and when you talk about American jobs, the issue is, how do these trade agreements then affect the American jobs? So it's never an easy situation in terms of, and I understand when people do not support, for example, the Korea Free Trade Agreement, because they believe that it's bad for and will eventually cause the loss of American jobs, very similar to what NAFTA did. So when you talk about a global economy versus the United States economy and how we enhance jobs and creation, it's not a simple thing that if we do this, this will work. You do this, and there will be pop up something here, here, and there, and you don't want it to happen. But notwithstanding, we have to do it. And I'm not sure that we can think of jobs creation or manufacturing without thinking about the protectionist policies. In other words, how do we protect our manufacturing base, which we know that's what always made the United States the great nation, is the manufacturing base. So I look at one particular area, for example, when you look at the military and the ability to build. And for example, another thing is, you may hear things like the Jones Act, for example. That is where ships must be built, flagged, and manned American. And we have a great movement against that. But what have we lost since World War II? We've lost the shipbuilding capabilities. And that has been essential to us, because it's not only the building of ships, it's the whole ramification of what happens after that supplements that, whether it's steel, whether it's everything else. When we lose that base is when we have a whole problem with the job situation. So when you hear about jobs, Asia Pacific and so forth, these are going to be challenges. For Asian Pacific Islanders, for example, the advantage I think that anyone who wants to do business is the fact, of small business, is the fact that this is the arena. This is the arena. And that I also happen to believe that the Asian Pacific Islander population, which you are all members of, should have the first step in. You should be the first ones that would be able to build in this area. And that's where I think I'd like to see more of that kind of, I guess, for lack of a better description, that kind of development is what is it that we have that is unique to us? It is our ethnic identities. And why not then utilize that because the arena is the Pacific. And we should all be aware of it. And we should all know what it's going to take for us to move forward. So that's why the president is in the Pacific. That's why he's doing what he's doing, because you're absolutely correct. That is the future.
Thank you, Madam.
Hi, I'm Esther Lee. I recently